Tonight on CTV News, we cover the walkout in Old Town today in protest for gun reform and discuss new measures presented at the Human Trafficking Symposium, promoting safety as well as ways to recognize trafficking.
Then we go to the streets to ask fellow CSU Rams how they feel about gun regulation. Then later on, we celebrate the highlights of Body Acceptance Week. All this and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, CSU. Tonight we will be reporting live at Jose Antonio Vargas' speech inside the LSC, then later discuss Coach Eustace's resignation. I'm news reporter Kiara Coles.
And I'm Isabella Roberts, filling in for anchor Sydney Paul. High school students from Poudre Valley School District organized a school walkout earlier today to advocate for gun reform in the United States. More than 400 students and community members participated in the walkout and made their way to Old Town Square at 1 p.m. Loveland and Windsor school districts were also in attendance. According to the Facebook event, the protest was in favor of stricter gun laws and demands change to ensure students feel safe on campus. A small group of about 10 counter-protesters also gathered in the square in support of gun laws. The crowd started to disperse at 2 p.m. More walkouts are scheduled for later this month, including on March 14th in front of Senator Cory Gardner's office and on South Shield Street starting at 10 a.m. You can read more on collegian.com as well as tune in Thursday for reporter Emilian Castaneda's coverage of this event.
Posters affiliated with the white supremacist group Identity Europa were posted in the Clark C building on CSU's campus Monday morning. At least 6 posters were found and promptly removed in accordance with university police. There were at least 3 posters with various messages, including Our Generation, Our Future, Our Last Chance, Action, Leadership, Identity, and Your Professor is Scared of This Book, with the image of the book White Identity. According to their website, Identity Europa describes themselves as a generation of awakened Europeans who have discovered that we are a part of the great peoples, history, and civilization that flowed from the European continent. The public safety alert sent out by CSU aimed to set high expectations for respect and behavior on campus, and for any students affected by these posters to take advantage of CSU resources.
Last Thursday was Northern Colorado's first annual Human Trafficking Synopsis, where keynote speaker Rebecca Bender and several other nonprofit organizations focused on educating the public about local, national, and international human trafficking. The event took place throughout the LSC in what the symposium called break-off sessions. The sessions focused on more specific topics like incorporating human trafficking into academics, ending the demand, and preventative tactics.
The Human Trafficking Symposium is the result of the last 5 years of work in Northern Colorado around preventing and ending human trafficking, community building, and educating the public about what human trafficking looks like locally in places like a college campus.
We also wanted to provide a way for CSU students and faculty and concerned citizens to get involved and learn more as well. So we're having a multi-layered track today that really achieves both of those goals.
The symposium collaborated with several other nonprofit organizations such as A Face to Reframe and Rescue Freedom to spread further awareness of human trafficking locally.
Face to Reframe works with the Larimer Anti-Trafficking Community Response Team to educate the public, both adults and youth, about what is human trafficking here in Northern Colorado, what does it look like, how do we stay aware, and how do we respond to the issue.
Working toward incorporating human trafficking into academics, CSU's Dr. Corinne Anderson developed the course Communication in Human Trafficking to teach students that the language used in human trafficking cases influences public policy.
So part of what we're trying to do at this symposium is to really educate our community on why prostitution is not inherently a victimless crime, why it is the crime that should go by the name of human trafficking, and it's something that is really damaging to our community.
The keynote speaker, Rebecca Bender, a survivor of 6 years of trafficking, spoke on her initiative and their program's mission to equip, escape, elevate, and embolden those affected by trafficking. Bender's speech emphasized the reality that college-age students are the most vulnerable targets to traffickers, stating just within 2017, over 100 youths were recovered in Colorado.
When I talk to people about human trafficking, I think it's important for college campuses to know for a variety of reasons, but one is I think about only envisioned kidnapped 9-year-olds, and they forget that a very vulnerable population group are 18 to 24-year-olds. because they're not children, so law enforcement doesn't call child welfare. They see the crime of prostitution, and so they call the victim a criminal. And college is a really easy place for con artists to kind of slide in under the radar, and if someone doesn't start sounding the alarm, then we're putting all of our college kids at risk. We all just need to be more aware so we can pay attention. Much like any other crimes that affect campuses, we all just need to keep our eyes open and share when you see something suspicious.
The nonprofits who collaborated with the symposium plan to continue to educate the community and work toward the prevention of human trafficking. For more information, you can visit toefacetoReframe.org.
The Fort Collins City Council may have voted against paying for Old Town lockers for the homeless, but that's not stopping the Mennonite Church from pursuing the project. The Fort Collins Mennonite Fellowship, after hearing unanimous approval from its congregation on Sunday, launched a fundraiser for the project. The fundraiser raised more than $600 on its GoFundMe page as of Monday morning. In-person donations have pushed them past the halfway mark of their $8,000 goal already. Pastor Steve Raymer says they also plan to submit grant proposals to potential funding sources. However, other Fort Collins citizens are skeptical to support funding for this project. Several citizens said there's a possibility the church could use the money for their own projects or express concerns that additional lockers wouldn't help with long-term solutions to get people out of homelessness. Mayor Wade Troxell, who's voted against using the city money for the project, says the city's involvement should focus on the spectrum of issues facing homeless populations and their solutions.
Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and Emmy-nominated filmmaker Jose Antonio Vargas is live right now in the Laurie Student Center discussing his experience as an undocumented immigrant and his work as the Chief Executive Officer of Define America.
We have live reporter Christina Lane at the event right now. Christina, what's the atmosphere like there?
Thanks, Bella. Hey, Rams. So there are about over 300 people inside the theater right now, and I'm outside the LSC for the Defining America event hosted by Dreamers United, where Jose Vargas will be speaking on hidden truths about immigration in America and be sharing his personal story with immigration. Define America is an organization that fights injustice and anti-immigration rhetoric and uses the power of storytelling to do so. His organization's mission is to challenge, create, and curate conversations surrounding immigration. The event will take place until 8:30 tonight. To follow updates with the story, follow collegian.com. Live at the LSC, Christina Lane.
Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Christina. That definitely sounds like an interesting story.
I agree. I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, definitely. Tensions are still running high in regard to the current gun laws in the U.S., prompting students to speak on their thoughts on the controversial issue.
I think we need gun reform, especially after the shootings that's been happening. And I don't know, I just feel like it'll make everything safer because teachers aren't supposed to have guns in the classroom because there shouldn't be shootings in schools in the first place.
I don't know much about them, but I've been wanting to go over to the police station and be like, can we clarify some stuff? Because, I mean, just the unawareness kind of concerns me.
So I honestly think there should be a gun reform. I think it's kind of ridiculous that we have all these mass shootings and no one's really doing anything about it.
About the current gun laws in America? I think that there needs to be a better background check in place. I think that mental illness and a few other diseases of that sort should be a lot more prevalent when they're checking for guns, but I do think that I'm in full support of the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms, and that society in general is more of the problem than the laws themselves.
I think that the gun laws definitely need to be reviewed, simply because I think that it could prevent so many more incidents from occurring.
I'm not against guns, but I just think like if somebody's on the flagged by the FBI, you know, we should do a background check on everybody, because I remember like before Columbine, like it just didn't happen when I was a kid.
We will continue to follow the discussion on gun laws and their impact on the Fort Collins community. You can tune into CTV on Thursday for further updates surrounding gun laws, campus safety, and students protesting to enact change.
The Arc of Larimer County will host its 6th annual Reframe Disability Film Festival at CSU in the Laurie Student Center Theater from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. this Friday, March 2nd. The aim of the event is to celebrate National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month with short films that break down stereotypes about people living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The films will range from genre to genre. Some are humorous, others are more serious, but all strive to spread awareness. The majority of the short films are produced by people with disabilities. Some are local to Fort Collins and the Larimer County area. Pre-sale tickets cost $10 for community members, $5 for members of the ARC in Larimer County, and $3 for CSU students. Students are encouraged to buy tickets pre-sale, as ticket prices will increase to $5 for CSU students at the door the day of the event.
Campus partners are coming together for Body Acceptance Week, which began yesterday. ASCSU was on the plaza giving out free t-shirts and food, as well as motivational stickers, encouraging students to appreciate their bodies or seek help if they are experiencing any negative body ideologies.
So this is Body Acceptance Week. It's the first day. We've got the Body Acceptance Week resource fair. So each of the tables is a different resource around campus for students, just to either with like nutrition, accepting their bodies, whatever the resources is. So at ASCSU we've got a bunch of shirts that you go through. You get to visit different stops, and then as a reward you get to get a pretty awesome shirt and some free food. And we're really just proud about the idea of like being visible, that you accept your body, and that's part of what these t-shirts are, is being visible that you accept yourself, you accept others.
Body Acceptance Week continues through Thursday, and all events are free to CSU students, faculty, and staff. For more information, you can visit source.colostate.edu.
Thank you again for joining us tonight. That's all the time we have for news, but don't go anywhere because Edgar Cedillo is up next for your Fort Collins weather update for this coming weekend.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at CTV11, and remember, Rams take care of Rams. Have a good night, CSU.